Recently, Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago announced via the city's Emergency Supplemental Victims Fund program that they will be giving up to $1,500 to help families of gun violence victims. Now, it said that they will get $1,000 if they need help relocating due to things being unsafe, and they'll get up to $1,500 for funeral and burial expenses if they need it. Now, it is said up to the recording of this video that 71 people were shot and 9 of those people died within a week's time span. And so it is no secret that the city of Chicago has an issue with gun violence. We also know that gun violence in the inner cities mostly affect Black people. Now, I want to say a couple of things here. I know it's probably not conventional that cities help with burial expenses or moving expenses. Okay, so I will give Mayor Brandon Johnson just a small pat on the back for that. However, we know that the city of Chicago has spent over $400 million helping migrants. Y'all know the people that were bused over there or went over there on their own, migrants who shouldn't even be over there in the first place. And so $400 million has been allocated to help them, but he wants to give a measly $1,500 to help bury somebody. Now, listen, I don't know what history book that he's reading from, but we know it costs way more than $1,500 to bury somebody and $1,000 to move. Where you moving to for $1,000, and even getting a moving company or a down payment or whatever it is, you're gonna need to do better than that. But the other thing is, why is gun violence so prevalent in the inner cities? We know that it has a lot to do with systemic and institutional racism, has a lot to do with disinvestment in the neighborhoods, basically a lack of resources, like there's no jobs, there's nothing to do. And so when that takes place, crime also is on the rise. So the other thing is, I want to know, what exactly is Mayor Brandon Johnson doing to solve those problems? Is he making sustainable jobs in the inner city? Is he allowing companies to go in there so people could get work? Like the youth, it's summertime now, right? And so a lot of times when youth have nothing to do, they get in trouble. As I said, an idle mind is the devil's playground. And so if the youth are out there, and listen, I'm not absolving the parents, they should be watching their children, right? I always say, get your kids out the streets. But if those children had something to do, then I think they would be in trouble less and less, right? What about some mentorship programs? I mean, you made sure the migrants' children were okay. What about the children in the inner city, Mayor Brandon Johnson? So again, we know that Mayor Brandon Johnson is not liked by a lot of people in Chicago. So we see him doing these little small things and say, here. I always use this analogy. Y'all remember when you was a kid and maybe you asked your sister, your brother, or your friend for a piece of their candy, and they really didn't want to give it to you, right? But they said, here, just take that. And they just give you a little piece. That's what it's like when I see these politicians, especially the Democratic politicians. They're starting to try to do something for Black people now. Well, we know it's not nearly enough. Again, appreciative that they're trying to do something, but to me, it'd be easier to solve the problem of why they even need to give burial help and moving expenses. And the other thing, now I'm just going to say this, I'm not trying to be dark with it or whatever, but that also might be blood money in a sense, because we living in a time where people are doing some strange things for the change. So I don't know if I would necessarily put that on out there like that, but I also think that people would rather have their loved ones than $1,500 to bury them. So anyway, y'all tell me what you think of that. And for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetra Kaye Show, here on YouTube.